So when you guys are one-on-one with a shooter, what's going through your mind? What characteristics of the shooter are you looking at? Like, are you looking at his chest, his eyes? Are you looking at the elbow, the way he's gripping the ball? What tells can you make where it's like, okay, this guy is I think I got a chance of knocking this guy down.
The in my head, the only way I got a chance of knocking someone down is by forcing them to take the shot I want. So that's either if they're on a counterattack, I like to sometimes come far out, and that forces them to take a lob. And if they're not ready to do it, they might go over the bar or hit the bar even. So that's my favorite way to approaching it. The nice thing about one-on-ones mentally is that if you lose, you're not usually the person to blame because someone didn't pick up their guy. So if you go in there thinking this is my guy, I'm gonna make a big play here. Let's take a risk here. Let's see if I can make him do this. It's nice to go in and know that this is my cage. I'm gonna make you do what happens. If you know where the ball is going, the ball is much easier to block.
I guess what I look for is how they grip the ball, because I just think about it like, okay, what would I do if I was the shooter? Like, based on where I am, where would I shoot? And then I just lean to that side, or sometimes I just don't lean to that side because then I'll bait them into one side or the other. So I just think about like, okay, so if I'm right there, am I going to shoot left or right? Or would I just like lob it over? And then based on what I decide, I either come up like wide, or I come up out and then I swing my arms like that.
Yeah, you got to be careful with getting too skinny where both of your hands are directly like up, because they can just come right to the side. So, that's for a different conversation. Uriel, what are you thinking?
For me, I look at where they're looking at. So I've noticed that some shooters, before they shoot, they look where they're gonna throw it in, and um, I pretty much just stay wide as possible, and before they shoot, I take a little spring up and just go forward,
Okay.
and from where they're looking at, I'll go to either that side or whichever side they're looking at, because most likely they'll shoot on that side. And even if I'm right or wrong, I'll still take the risk because they're looking on that side, and that's what I think they're going to be shooting at.
So you take that risk, and then you come to the side after the quarter, and you got Beto just steaming. What are you going to tell him?
Defense.
I messed.
Let me ask you guys this. Let's talk a little trash here. Who are some of the easiest people to read while they're shooting? What do you got?
David Nino's the easiest. I know where he's shooting exactly when he gets the ball. He goes top left, he's on the right side, and he'll sometimes go cross cage if he's on the left. But usually it's always the left top corner.
I would say it's Mark and Nikita, because Nikita always goes skip shot on a counterattack. Like, he'll always shoot, like, try to go under the goalie's arm. And then Mark, like, he'll always just shoot opposite side no matter what side it is.
Really? Mark shoots near side in my practices.
I think you guys are giving Mark too much credit. He just shoots whatever the hell he wants, I think. Go ahead. What do you got, Uriel?
I'll say between Alex or Damien, because for me, when we're practicing, Alex always shoots cross-side. He always shoots cross-side, and Damien, he'll shoot wherever he wants, but he'll always shoot top corner. He never shoots bottom.
Who's the biggest trash talker that can't make a shot to save his life?
Angelo.
Who you got?
Angelo.
Angelo Espinosa?
Yep, that's the one.
Oh, man.
Ulises?
I would say Sam.
Sam?
Antonio.
Sam.
Yeah.
He does talk
that
a
guy's
lot.
classic. Yeah, I love him, though, because he talks trash all day. No matter what. He's getting his butt kicked, but he's still talking
No,
trash.
when the brothers are on the same team, that's the best because they just talk shit to each other the entire time.
Yeah, that is. Samuel, he's ripping on Antonio a lot more than Antonio is. Uriel, what you got?
I'll say Dean.
Dean?
Because sometimes he'll talk like, "Oh, I'll do a full court," or he'll always go top corner. But sometimes he'll miss the net completely, and he'll just say that he'll beat everyone by like 10 points or something like that.
Who's the best trash talker in general, Jack? Just in general. Doesn't matter how good they are. Just talking trash.
Angelo. Even Angelo just like he just knows he just is irritating. Even when he's losing, he'll still talk trash that pisses you off.
Yeah, it's Angelo.
I think Uriel agrees.
Yeah, Angelo.
That's funny.
So for you three, how important is it to be vocal as a goalie? Because I know from you three, Jack, you're probably the most vocal, in my opinion. Not saying that Yuli and Uriel aren't vocal, but like, how important is it? Do you think that you have to work on being more vocal, less vocal? Like, what? Talk to me about that.
So I think I'm vocal. I'm my vocality, I guess, is nice in defense.
Hey,
Like when it's set up,
don't use those big words on me.
when it's set up half court defense or 6-on-5. I think I talk a lot because I'm really looking at the crash or looking for if we should help the ball. However, I do talk too much out once the ball is in transition, and I'll sometimes start talking when the ball is in set up offense, and that's not my domain. So I think I talk a little too much. And I've gotten burned on that too, where I've focused too much on communication and positioning where I forgot about the ball, and then they scored.
When it comes to being vocal, sometimes like I think, like Jack said, like I'll focus too much, like thinking about what the other team could do instead of what's actually going on. So I'll be like, oh, so they could just pass it whole. So I'm like focusing on like the whole set being covered well, that I'll forget that they could just shoot from the outside, and then like sometimes it'll go in, and I'm like, damn, right. But I feel like being vocal is really important because that's where like that's where like you're the captain of your defense. Like the goalie's the one, like the final the last resort when it comes to a goal not going in. So especially like on a 6-on-5, you have to tell the post like move more left or move more right depending on what side you want covered, right? And I feel like that's like super important because, you know, like when you're a man down, the goalie should be the one taking care of the middle, and then there's post. Yeah.
Uriel.
Basically, Ulises said everything. Pretty much the goalie. Well, for me, I don't think I talk that much, but I do somewhat. I mainly talk more when we're on defense, when we have a man down, or when somebody's open, whenever someone's gonna take a shot, and I'm telling them to keep their hand up to get closer to the post when we're on 6-on-5. Yeah.
So
Basically.
I got one more. What player? Well, you don't have to name them, but is there one player in particular that pisses you off on defense that where you're just like, oh my, this guy again, come on. Like, can you keep your hips up? Can you get your arm up? Is there one particular player that you kind of worry about more on defense than anybody?
If he's in my defense, I played with this guy for 4 years, Robert Rodriguez.
Get out of here.
He doesn't listen to a damn thing I say.
Jack is lighting all the fires. Good job, Jack.
Again, no names, but you know, you don't have to say names, but is there one guy that you worry about on defense more than anybody else?
But
I
it
don't
would be a
have
lot funnier if you did, though, Ulises.
I don't have a like specific person that I'm like that, but like I know a lot of people that like they play the person instead of playing the ball, so they won't know where the ball is. Like say they're defending hole and they're focusing on the person instead of like covering the side that the ball may be. And I'm always like I'm always watching them out the most because they're gonna be unaware of when the ball comes in. So I feel like I get more worried then when I have a player like that.
Mainly I worry for the ones that like they don't have really good legs to stay up, or that are like afraid to block a ball, or they aren't that good on defense. And I mostly look out for those, and I tell someone to drop or crash when they're in set, and just keep an eye on them. Tell them to stay on their person, and just be running plays, not to be afraid to get the ball, pretty much.
I like to add, on a serious note, it's probably the people that foul outside the 5, because that's just a free pass or a free shot. I'd rather just have you waste time by pressing them than fouling and having them move the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yuli, do you have any questions for Beto or I?
Beta?
Or me?
Oh yeah. What do you guys think? Okay, so when there's like a goofy shot that goes in, what goes through your mind regarding the goalie or the defense or whatever? Both
I can tell you
question
for
for both.
me, I can tell you for me specifically, it all depends on how old I was. When I first started coaching, I would have had a heart attack, and I probably would have pulled the goalie out and made him do push-ups right then and there. Probably, a good 5 to 7 years after that, I would have just yelled at the goalie and probably tried to make him cry. Now, I would, hopefully I'd be a lot more patient. Now I try to have a little stress ball, and hopefully I take it out on the stress ball instead of yelling at somebody. But to me, easy shots like that are unexcusable, and the reason they're unexcusable is because it's a lack of focus.
So has there ever been a time where you see something that goes in on me and you're like about to have a heart attack?
Yeah, almost every other shot.
We've had those.